This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of the Greater Chattanooga region. My name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host for today. Some people say, what is the purpose of the Good Neighbor Podcast? What is your theme all about? Well, we want to bring awareness to the residents of our communities of the locally owned and operated businesses that are in the Chattanooga region, from all the way from Cleveland to Dalton, Jasper to Benton, just the whole entire area. Small businesses are the backbone of our communities. And our neighborhoods and our communities were not built on the back of corporate giants. They were built on the back of small working people, small business people that supported the community. And they're still here today, and they need our support. And, every local business has a story to tell. And here at the Good Neighbor Podcast, we want to help them shout it from the rooftop. And today's a good example. Joining me today is our good neighbor, Jamey Eggert of Legacy Funeral Home. Jamey, thank you for being our special guest today on the Good Neighbor Podcast.
Well, I'm thrilled to death. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Jamey, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. You're the manager there at the Wann Funeral Home, and are you also considered the manager at the Legacy Funeral Home too?
I am.
Okay, both of them. All right. I know we were talking about how Wann Funeral Home is the oldest funeral home in Chattanooga, so it's been around a while. How long has it been around?
That I'm not sure. I know it's been here a long, long time.
Yeah, it would have to be one of the oldest ones because there's yeah, definitely.
I've not been there since it started.
That was that was before we started forming eyelids, wasn't it, Jamey?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh well, but Jamey's the manager, and I'd just like for you to talk to me a minute. The funeral home business is a business that some people I guess are a little afraid to talk about, to get on, because it always deals with sadness and sorrow and grief. But I personally have experienced that loss and that grief, and I've also experienced the kindness and the caring atmosphere that was given when these things happened. And I guess that's kind of what I want you to tell me. Jamey, you said you've been the manager there for 7 years. Tell me about the theme around how that Wann Funeral Home and Legacy Funeral Home takes care of the families who entrust you at this time of their life.
Well, of course, personally, I think it's more of a ministry than anything.
Okay.
I used to be a Methodist pastor.
All right. Yeah.
Then I got in the funeral business. I went from one dead-end job to another one. But it is a ministry. When people are dealing with the most horrible day of their life,
yes,
they need someone that's going to listen to them, explain what's going on, and let them talk.
Yes.
We don't do all the talking here. We let people talk to us, and they share their stories. And that's how we get through a loss, is sharing that story, sharing what's happened.
Absolutely.
When someone passed away, I've lost both my parents, and you find yourself repeating that story over and over again.
Yes.
It becomes your focal point for a while.
Yes, it does.
It's a major life change. Death and marriages, they do change your life.
Yes.
So here we try to do what we can for our families. And it's not a career, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes through these doors will get my personal cell phone number. They'll get the owner, Sean Williamson's, personal cell phone number. And we tell people, call us anytime, day or night, if you need us.
Yeah. Well, that's important. I don't like to get on here and talk about myself a lot, but I experienced at 6 years old. One day, my daddy, who was 32 years old, he said he left the house, said I'll be right back, and he didn't make it back, and he was killed in a car accident. And I was just a little boy. I don't remember a lot about the funeral home, the funeral arrangements, but I do remember how it was when we got to the church where we had the visitation, and I do remember the kindness and the caring feeling. Of course, then fast forward my life, I lost grandparents, I lost people that I guess in the different stages of life, people normally you lose because of their ages and things like that. But then at 37 years old, my wife, who was 36, passed away, and that was the hardest thing I ever went through. I mean, she wasn't supposed to pass away at 36. No. We were supposed to grow old together, and we went to the funeral home, and of course, this particular funeral home in the neighborhood where we grew up at, we knew them, they knew us, and they were just so attentive and so caring. It made that burden lighter. It made the burden of having. There were so many decisions. Jamey, if nobody's had to do this before, there's so many decisions you have to make in 24-hour period.
There are over 100 decisions that you have to make within a 24-hour period.
Yes.
And most of us, including people like me that have been in this business a long time, you're still not prepared.
No, that's the thing. And so to come in and sit down in front of people who will listen to me, who are not in a hurry to hurry up and get me out, that means a lot, James. So I applaud you for that you actually give people time to talk, hear them out, listen to them. Because sometimes it's I had a friend that passed away, and I went to the hospital. I heard about it, and I ran to the hospital, and there's his wife, young wife, and she looked at me, and she knew I'd experienced this already, and she says, "What do I do?" And I remember the first words come out of my mouth. I never even thought of this; it just came out. I said, "When you can cry, cry, and when you can't, don't feel guilty, because that's that comforting of God that's come by." I said, we can't stand it all at once. We would explode if we had to bear grief 24 hours a day, and it's hard. And to come into a place like what you're talking about, and someone's care, it means a lot. I know I'm talking a lot here, but I'm just saying that means a lot.
It does. When I lost my parents, we used a funeral home where I live. I know the people that work there. I've known them my whole life. And you need to feel like you're part of the family. They're there to take care of you. When people walk through these doors, I'll tell everybody I'm a hugaholic.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking a 12-step program for it. I love what I do. And I mean, I've had people cry. I've had people laugh. We talk about the loved one because it's important. Yeah. They're not disappeared out of our memory.
Right.
They may not be walking with us anymore, but they're still a vital part of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jamey, I know what you're talking about, and it matters. This podcast may be a little different than most, because what we're talking about is different. We're not talking about a fun time, a fun experience, but thank God there's people out there like Jamey Eggert and Sean Williamson and people that care and that try to make these experiences as smooth as possible, because there's what we were talking about, there's so many decisions that have to be made, and you feel like, am I making the right one? Am I making the right decision? And the fact that you're there to help guide, not force, but just guide people through this difficult part of it. That funeral is one of the hardest days of people's lives if they really love that, they really care about that loved one. And
absolutely.
Y'all are there doing that service. I just admire what you do, sir. I really do. I admire what you do.
That we're complimented a lot. People, oh, y'all are just great, and all this. Not to get too religious, but once again, it's not what I'm doing. It's what the Lord does through me. I'm just a normal human being. I'm 59 years old. I have my shortcomings like everybody else, but I just want to serve families that are in need.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very respectable thing. If there was, you know, when we talk about this subject, sometimes I want to say things and I don't know if I should, because I don't want to, like you said, I want to be careful. But there's so much that goes into what you do. There I know there's a lot of difficulties. When people are brought in and you have to try to make them look as close to possible as like they did in real life, and you try to because when the family sees the appearance, it matters. It
It
matters,
does.
and I know sometimes it's difficult especially when people have been in accidents or things like that. Sometimes it's a difficult job to do, but to all the listeners out there, you know, we need to really appreciate these folks. We really need to appreciate them. You say, well, I'm paying them for a service. Sure, I mean they've got to make a living. They got to make a profit, or they couldn't do it. They're just would have bills to pay like everybody else. But when you can find someone like Jamey Eggert, Sean Williamson, and all the staff at Wann and Legacy, uh, and they care. They're going to walk you through it. They're going to help you. They're going to try their best to make everything look good and look as nice as possible. And then if you have requests and needs, they're going to be there for you. I'm going to tell you, I don't remember, and I love the folks that handled my wife's funeral, okay? But I don't remember any of them giving me their cell number, Jamey. I don't remember any of them giving me their cell number. So that to me, that says a lot about y'all.
It's so much more personal. The answering service is fine.
Yeah,
It's perfect. But when you need somebody, you may need them right then.
that's right.
You do not want to sit there and go through answering 1,400 questions. You want to get to the person you need to talk to as quickly as possible.
Yes,
Well, the same thing is when you're a minister. I mean, everybody had my phone numbers when I was a minister.
yes.
That's just part of it. That is part of what we do. It's not just a career. It is a lifestyle. It's in our makeup. We love what we do.
Yeah, well, that's good. And to some people, they're saying, "Oh, I can never do that job." And I do believe, I'm speaking from my heart. I do believe it's a calling. I believe that people are called to do what y'all do, because if people are not called to do it, and you talking about being religious or spiritual or whatever, I am going to be for a minute.
Mhm.
If people aren't called to do this job, uh, then they need to get out of it, because if they don't have a caring heart for them people, they don't have compassion for the family when they walk in. They need to find a different job, because they're not going to be able to help that family like they need to be helped.
No.
Is that correct, Jamey?
You can teach embalming. You can teach funeral directing. You can teach, how to meet a family.
Yeah.
But you cannot teach caring, and you cannot teach sympathy and empathy.
Yes.
And you can't fake it. You either have it
No.
or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you see all different kinds. I know you see the families who come in and they they're very dignified and keeping their composure, and everything is pretty solemn. And then you've got those that are very emotional, and they come in and they're weeping, and but you kind of like a parent to your children. I've always been told, I don't have any children of my own, but I've always been told that if you have multiple children, that none of them alike, and you
No,
have to learn how to cope with each one of them on their level. And that's an ability that you have to have when somebody, whatever type of family comes in, if they're angry, if they're, whatever it is, they come in, you've got to have the ability to deal with them and help them come down to that level where you can talk to them and guide them through that. And if you don't care about them, it's going to be pretty hard to do that.
it is. And people, the range of emotions that come through the doors are as varied as the people that are in each family.
Yeah.
Some people are fine. They've expected it. They're dealing with it. Some people, are falling apart. Some are very dignified and reserved. And you have to be very, very flexible when you meet with families.
Yeah.
I have them that come in and some people like to be hugged, some don't. And I'll say, well, if I start to hug you, just stick your hand out and I'll shake hands with you. But it's important to realize that no two people grieve alike.
Yeah.
No two people are going to grieve alike. Everyone is going to have their own journey through grief.
Yes.
When you come in the funeral home, the last thing you need to be, worried about is, well, how should I act?
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Tell me exactly how you feel, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are always worried about, what is this going to cost? Can I afford it? But the one thing I found when my wife passed it, you have all different kinds of levels of services and products and things. I don't want to get into calling names of the products and things, but all different styles and price levels. So when somebody comes in, you're going to try your best to accommodate whatever their needs are.
We have services for everybody.
Yes.
Now, you may want a traditional funeral. You may want a traditional cremation. You may want a direct cremation. You may want a cremation with a memorial service. Whatever is going to get you through the day and help you to celebrate the life of the loved one that you've lost, that's what we want to do.
Yes.
I don't worry about the money part. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll go through there and figure out exactly what you want and what you can afford.
Yeah.
And we just try to make sure that everything we do is done with dignity and caring.
Absolutely. And you mentioned cremations, Jamey. How are they getting more and more requested now?
They are.
Is there a certain percentage now that you see?
Well, we're probably at 55% cremation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, and that's fine. We have, here at Legacy, we have our own crematory. It's on the property.
Okay.
Sean and I operate the crematory.
Okay.
So, we're there when you need us. We're there to do burials. We're there for cremations. A lot of people seem confused, though. They think the only alternative you have with a cremation is a direct cremation. Well, that's not true. We can embalm, we can do a rental casket, we can have a visitation, a funeral, and then the final disposition is the cremation.
Okay, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that either. Okay, so you can actually just go ahead and go through a traditional funeral.
And then have cremation instead of the burial.
Okay, well, that's interesting to know. Yeah.
And Sean is very much, in tune to what families need. In fact, she has just opened a pet crematory.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And so it's Cherished Furever, FUR. And we've had a lot of people come and bring their loved pets and have them cremated. It's encircling the values of life.
Yes.
If it's important to you, it's important to us. Of course, I have two pets. I have two little dogs. Min penned, and they're my kids, just like you, Scott. I do not have children, but it's important to meet people where they are.
Yes,
it's important to be there and be present when the family comes in. If I've got 4 people on the board that I'm I'm meeting the families. When you walk in the door, you are who I'm focused on. I'm not worried about anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
it's just important to be present and to be there for your families.
Jamey, if there was one thing that you would want our listeners to know about Legacy and Wann Funeral Home and the what did you call the cherished
Oh, Cherished Furever.
cherished forever the pet cremations? If there was one thing that you would want everybody to know about Jamey Eggert and Sean Williamson and those chapels that we just spoke about, that they wouldn't know it unless you told them, and you'd like to just shout it from the rooftops here today, what would that be?
Understand we care about you and we love you, and you are part of our family. We're going to mourn with you. We're going to smile with you. We may get to laugh with you, but we're going to go through this entire process with you hand in hand.
Well, that's all. If that's all somebody can ask for is somebody to care about that time. I've been to funerals where it was standing room only, and I've been to funerals where there wasn't more than a dozen people there, and so everybody needs to know somebody cares. That's for
And
sure.
it's important for a family that's grieving.
Yes.
You need to have a time where your friends and families can come and talk to you.
Yes.
Uh,
I agree.
It's not like you're done. Someone's passed away and you're done.
Yeah.
Families need that time to come together. They need that time to visit with their friends and neighbors and to accept their condolences. That's what helps us get through these difficult times.
It is. It is. But Jamey, I want to give you a spot right here just to kind of share with our listeners, whether offline or online, tell us how people can find out more or reach out to y'all and speak to you.
Okay, you can reach us at Legacy Funeral Home. Our phone number is 423-843-2525. Wann Funeral and Cremation Center is 423-821-7551. You can get on our website, and it's legacyfuneralhome.com or Wann, WANN, funeralhome.com.
Okay. Are y'all on any of the social media sites, Jamey?
Yes, we're on Facebook.
Okay, on Facebook.
I don't do social media that well, so I let somebody else handle that.
Okay. Is that how would they find you there? Which name would they use?
Home.
Legacy Funeral Home. Okay. And just so everybody knows, share with us the addresses of the facilities.
All right. For Legacy, it's 8911 Dallas Hollow Road, Soddy Daisy, Tennessee. And for Wann, it's 3918 Tennessee Avenue, Suite 104, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
All right. And the Cherished Furever,
it's also at Legacy, 8911 Dallas Hollow Road, Soddy Daisy.
It's a Legacy. Okay. All right. That's what I was wondering about that. So, well, Jamey, it was wonderful meeting you today, sir. And thank you for taking time and being with us and sharing with us the caring, compassionate heart that y'all have there and the way you care about people. We really appreciate what you do for the community.
Well, Scott, thank you. And thank you for your podcast. We all need a good neighbor. We all need a shoulder to lean on.
Yes, we do.
And by bringing people like me to, your listeners, it helps. I want to demystify funerals. They're for the living, not the deceased.
Right.
And they are for celebrating a life that has been lived well.
Amen. I totally agree with that. Yeah. I wish that everybody would get away from saying I come to pay my last respects. I wish we'd start saying I came to celebrate the life of that person.
I always end all of our services by saying, folks, during the days and weeks ahead, pick up the telephone, talk to each other, mention this precious person behind me, because as long as they're living right in here, they're never truly gone.
There you go. That's a perfect way to end this, Jamey. Thank you, sir, for your time. And all the good neighbors of the greater Chattanooga area, after meeting Jamey and learning more about Legacy Funeral Home and Wann Funeral Home and Cherished Furever the pet program there, I know they hope that you'll take a moment to consider all they have to offer and remember them when that difficult time of life comes that you need the services that they provide. And before ending this episode, I'd like to thank you all, the listeners, for taking time out of your busy day to visit with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. Always remember to support the locally owned and operated businesses in the greater Chattanooga area, all the way from Cleveland to Dalton, all the way from Jasper to Benton, all the communities in between. Every community is important. Every small business is important. Let's do all we can to support them. This is Scott Howell with the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.